Hello everybody, it's Wendy and today we are going to do a bracelet to match the necklace that I uploaded yesterday using products from this month's Bargain Bead Box. So this is October of 2020, and if you are not familiar with Bargain Bead Box, it is a monthly subscription service. You get about $65 to $70 worth of beads, findings, chain, just pretty much everything you need to make jewelry. And I've made, usually I get about, I don't know, I get 10 or 12 pieces, I would say, out of each Bargain Bead Box. It is delivered straight to your door for $17.98 a month. And it's just a great deal. You also get, when you subscribe to Bargain Bead Box, you get a 30% off coupon to use in their sister store, which already has great prices. So the 30% off is really, I mean, it gives you a great deal in their sister store. I have a coupon code. It is Wendy2. If you want to subscribe, you will get $2 off of your first box. And if you don't want to subscribe, but you still would like to shop in their sister store, you can use the $2 off coupon to get $2 off of your purchase in their store. Okay, so that's Bargain Bead Box. I will put the link in the description box below. And it is my favorite beading subscription service, I've got to say. By far my favorite. I think it is the best value of any of them out there, and you get just great quality, awesome stuff for a really good price. So if you're interested in that, check out the description box below. But we're going to get right into making this bracelet, okay? So let me move this out of the way, and I will tell you what you're going to need. So this is the necklace that we did. It is a statement necklace, and it uses all these beads from this month's Bargain Bead Box. I love these colors together. I think they're beautiful. And then it's using the Coriana chain. This Coriana chain is available on my website. I will link that in the description box below as well. And it's a floating kind of necklace. So we are going to make a matching bracelet. So I got up in the middle of the night last night, about 3 o'clock, and I had the idea for this bracelet just like hit me in the middle of the night. It was really kind of weird, but anyway, I thought that would go perfect with this necklace. So that's what we're going to do. So you're going to need the two little chandelier findings, the earring findings from your box if you have the box this month. You're going to need some of the Coriana chain. I have 3 pieces. They are about 3 inches in length. We may end up cutting the middle one shorter. I'm not sure. But right now they're about 3 inches in length. Okay. And then we're going to be using, I had 1 coin bead left over from the box. So we're going to use that. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these denim blue rondelles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these bicones. Now these bicones are from my own stash. I just thought they matched really well with this coin bead. They have kind of the same finish, so that's why I'm using them. I've got 5 of the little green rondelles from the Bargain Bead Box and 5 of the spacer beads. Okay. I have a lobster claw clasp from my own stash, but these are available on my website also. I have a head pin that has a little decorative end. I think this came in an Adornable Elements box a while back, and we're going to use that for the dangle on the bracelet. I have 6 clamshell tip covers. These are also available on my website. They are how you finish off the Coriana chain. I have a bunch of little 4mm jump rings here. A larger link chain that I'm going to use to finish it for this lobster claw clasp to clasp onto, and I do need to make sure that this will clasp onto that. It will. Okay, so you need a larger link chain for that, and it'll also serve as an extender. Okay, and then you're going to need a bunch of little crimp beads. Here they are in my little thing. All right, so if you want to make this, and of course your jewelry tools. So if you want to make this bracelet, get your stuff together, and we'll go ahead and get started. So we're going to make it match the necklace. So let me put this little link from the necklace up here in the corner of the screen, because this is the pattern that we're going to use. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our Coriana chain here, and we're going to attach our clamshell covers for the end so we can hook it onto the little chandelier finding. So you're just going to put your Coriana chain on the clam, pull it down here a little bit, and you're going to take your crimp, put it way down here on the end, Now, I will say I like to put a little glue in the clamshell, and I probably should go get my E6000, but I don't have it upstairs. It's downstairs, and I just don't feel like running down there right now. So I'm not going to do it. But I usually like to put a little glue in there. It just makes me feel more secure. But you go ahead, you crimp your little bead down, then you're just going to close the clamshell just like this, okay? So there is one end to our little connection here. And I'm going to do that with all three of these. So here's the second one. I'm just doing one end because we've got to be able to put the beads on, so don't do both ends. Then you will be stuck with no beads and just a floating chain in the middle of your bracelet, which probably would be pretty too, but I definitely want to put the beads on here because I want it to match the necklace. So go ahead and just crimp these down. Crimp them really tight. You want to make them, you want them to stay. You want them to be very secure, and you can kind of pull on it, make sure it's going to stay. Everybody always asks me the millimeter. This chain is 0.6 millimeters in, thickness. So in case you're wondering, it is 0.6 millimeters. And we're going to put our last little clamshell cover on and crimp bead. Okay. Whoops, and that crimp bead, it did fall right off. Let me just use my pliers here. My beading mat is fuzzing up on me a little bit. It's on my finger right there. Fuzz from it. Alright. Clamp that one down. Make sure it's good and secure. And close up the clamshell. Alright. So now we have our three little strands. And what we're going to do is we're going to create the floating pattern the same as this one. Okay? So I'm going to take a crimp bead, and I'm just going to put it on this chain. Actually, I'm going to do the middle section first because it's going to have the coin bead right in the middle, and that's all. And that's how I'm going to gauge where I want my other ones to sit. So let's do that first. So I want this coin bead, and it's going to hook onto this middle link here. So I want the coin bead to be right smack in the middle of that chain. Now let me measure because I don't want this to be too long. So that is already 5.5 inches. By the time I add my lobster, it's going to be about 6.5, which is pretty good for me. But I actually, since I'm going to have a good extender on the other side, I'm going to cut this middle link, or this middle chain, down by probably 1/2 inch. Okay? So I'm going to make it about this long. So because my bracelets always end up being too long for me, I have a freakishly small wrist. It's like 5.5 inches. So I don't want it to be too long. So this is pretty good. This will be right at around 6.5, and I'll have the extender over here if I need more room. So that's pretty good. All right, so we're going to take our crimp bead. Now you can measure this if you want. I'm just going to eyeball it because I am that way. And right about the middle of this chain is where we want it to go. And that, come this way just a tad. Right there is pretty perfect, I think. By the time we get our clamshell on the other end, yeah, I think this is pretty much perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to crimp that bead right here. Just crimp it down really good and tight. Now you can use crimp bead covers if you want. I'm not going to. I don't think that they're that obtrusive. I don't think they show up that much, and they don't bother me at all. The little crimp beads just being on there just like that. So I'm not going to use a crimp bead cover. But like I said, if you want to, more power to you. It's all up to your design. Alright, and I'm going to put this one on, and I'm going to crimp it down as well. And that is going to make Mr. Coin Bead here just float right in the middle of our chain. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add our other clamshell cover. Or Yeah, clamshell cover. I always call these, I want to call these things lobsters. I don't know why. It's something just about ocean creatures. I don't know, but I always want to call these lobsters, and they definitely are not. They are clamshells. Or calottes. I think the UK, they call them calottes. So, alright, let's go up here and crimp this down. Nice and tight. Check it. It's good, so close up our clam. Alright, so here's what we've got. We have our coin bead. He's floating right in the middle there. Okay? Now, what we're going to do here is these are going to attach to the outside loop. So that looks about perfect in length. It has to be a little longer than that middle one, or it won't reach. Okay, so that looks pretty perfect. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a floating pattern on this side and a floating pattern on this side. And this pattern is what I'm going to use right here. So let me measure this. Yeah, I'm not even going to need a crimp bead on the end, so I'm not going to put one on here. It will come right down to this, so I'm just going to do that pattern. I'm going to take the, whoops, let me put it back where we can see it. There it is. This little pattern right here. I'm going to take the metal bead, the rondelle, the smushed bicone, the regular bicone, the other smushed bicone, the other rondelle, and the other metal bead. Okay, let's lay it down and look. Yeah, that's going to be pretty well perfect. So I'm going to take a crimp bead. I'm going to slide it right on here till it goes down to my work. Now, one thing you want to do is make sure this has some movement. Don't push this down where this is so tight it's like stick straight like this. You want it to have a little movement. So just take your bead and move up just a little bit and crimp it. Just so that that can, you know, is not stiff and straight. Alright, that looks pretty good. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing over here. So, let me flip this way. Yeah. So I'm going to put on my metal bead, my rondelle, my green smushed bicone, my regular bicone, my other little green smushed bicone, my rondelle, and my metal bead. Okay, then we're going to thread on the crimp. And again, you're going to let it drop down. If I get it on there. There we go. Nope. No, it's going to be a little difficult. There we go. Okay, let it drop down. Where'd it go? There it is. It's still at the top. Okay, and again, make sure that it has a little room to have some movement. Don't do it too tight. Okay, so there is that one. Now we're going to hook it all together with some jump rings. So let's get our jump rings out here. Put that little crimp bead away. And we're just going to hook it all up. So I've got my little 4mm jump rings. I like small jump rings. I do not like big obtrusive jump rings. So I go with the smallest ones I can. And we've got to put a lobster on, or let's see, I called it a lobster. A clamshell on this end, don't we? And the other one. Okay, yeah, I'm not thinking. Okay, well, I do want to make sure though. I'm going to hook this middle one in first. And then I'll do the others because I just want to make sure that they're going to fit properly. So let me go ahead and do the middle one first. So he's going to go right here in the very middle and close up. And I do not have my glasses on, which is a big mistake. Yeah, it is a big mistake. Let me find a pair. I've only got about 10 pairs laying here in front of me. I go to the Dollar Tree and buy their reading glasses, and they're literally all over my house because suddenly I can't see anymore to read. I mean, it literally happened overnight. I could see one day, the next day I woke up, tried to pick my phone up and couldn't see it. And I'm like, what the heck? I mean, yeah, that's what happened to me. And the nice little doctor that looked like he was about 14 years old, eye doctor, was like, yeah, it's just you're getting old. I was like, thank you, Doogie Howser. Wanted to smack him. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just hooking these clamshells onto the chandelier finding in the very middle rung. And making sure that their jump rings are closed up. Okay, so here's what we have. There's our coin bead. Alright, so yeah, I just wanted to make sure that when I hooked that one on and saw exactly how long that this one was going to be okay, and it actually, yep, it looks like I'm going to trim it just a teeny tiny little bit because it's going to have a jump ring. So yeah, I'm literally just taking like a teeny tiny bit off the end there. I just don't want it to be too loose. Okay, so let me put this clamshell on and a crimp. Alright, I'm going to crimp that down up here on the top. Nice and sturdy. Really good right there. And I'm going to test it. It's good. And I'm going to go ahead and close up my clamshell. And then I'm going to hook it on with my jump rings. Yep, there we go. Just like this. And I'm hooking it on the very last little loop there of my finding. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. Now you could do this pattern down here and here. I mean, you can do it however you want to do it. I wanted it to kind of look like, and I'll show you here in a minute, like it was flowing from one side to the other, if that makes sense. So let me hook that on. So if you can see, it looks like it's flowing here and then going to cross over and then it will flow down here. And that's kind of what I wanted. So I'm going to trim just a tad off this one as well, like I did the other side. About the same little amount. And then I'm going to put the last clamshell on here. And my crimp. And as you can see, there's fuzz from my beading mat. This beading mat I'm using right here, it's called Luxe Fleece. And you get it at Joann's. And it's not regular fleece, it's called Luxe Fleece. And it really does make a pretty good beading mat, but it kind of gets a little fuzzy sometimes. This one seems to be the fuzziest one I've ever had. The rest of them have not been so fuzzy. But after you wash them a couple times, then they don't, they lose some of their fuzz. But they really do make good beading mats. It's the closest thing that I've found to, I guess it's Velux that they use for beading mats. But yeah, this is the closest thing I've found to that because I haven't been able to find the Velux fabric. But this is called Luxe Fleece, and I just put that on the wrong way, didn't I? Why didn't somebody yell at me? Or were you all yelling at your phones, going, no, you're doing it wrong as you're talking, and totally distracting yourself from what you're doing? Okay, let me get that on there. There we go. Yeah, my little flow pattern would not work very well the other way. See how it looks like it kind of just flows like that? At least that does in my mind. That's what it looks like. You guys may be like, nope, it doesn't look like that, and we're not going to do ours that way, and that's fine. You can do it however you want to. That's just how I wanted to do it. Why is this jump ring giving me such troubles? It is. There we go. All right. Here goes our last one. done. All right. Get that closed up good. Okay, so there's that part of it. Now, I am going to hook my lobster clasp on, and let me get a different jump ring for this because I don't really want to use the tiny one for that, but I don't want to use a huge one either. Let me find a kind of probably a 6 or an 8mm jump ring would be perfect for that. And here we have one. That one's too big. I need a little bit smaller. Hold on just a second. I'm picky about my jump rings. I'm sorry. It's a thing with me. So here's a 6mm jump ring. That must have been an 8mm. I prefer the 6. Let's hook our lobster claw on. And I am going to grab a couple more head pins out, and I'm going to do something right here on this little loop. I am going to hook on these bicones right there. So I'm just going to make a dangle. So I take my head pin, put it on. I'm going to bend this at a 90-degree angle right above the bicone. I cut it at about, I don't know, my finger's width. Oh, and somebody was asking in the comments where my little pieces fly to. I have a shelf right here to my right, and they fly right into it. So they're not on the floor. Sadie's usually on the bed behind me, so they don't go back that way. So nobody's getting hurt, but they usually fly right into this shelf that's beside me, and then I clean them all up. But everybody's always very concerned about that for some reason. I don't know, it cracks me up. For a long time, people were like, oh my gosh, you need to have on glasses. Well, I do have on glasses. I have on reading glasses, like I said, but yeah, they don't fly that way. They fly to the side for some reason, and they usually fly straight into that shelf, so it works out great. The shelf catches them. Okay, so there, if you see, I just hooked that little dangle right in there. I didn't even use a jump ring. I just hooked it straight in. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I just wanted something in the middle there, and these bicones match really well. See how we have the coin bead in the middle on this? These bicones have the same finish as that coin bead, and I don't have any small coin beads to put in there, so I'm going with the bicone because it looks pretty good, I think. Same thing, and see, it just shoots straight over to the side and into the shelf. And then later I will clean them all up. I save all of them. I'm really weird that way. I don't know why, but I save them all. I have them all in a little container. All these little scrap pieces of of head pins that have flown off, and I don't know what I'll ever do with them, but there they are. They're all there in a little container for some reason. It's weird. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking later I'll melt them down and do something, but probably not. I probably will never do that, but I don't know. There they are in their little container. Okay, close that one up. Now we're just going to add our chain over here, and I already have a link where I opened it up to take it off. It was on and I'm just going to hook this straight on to my bracelet finding, the chandelier finding. Now these are thick links, so I like to take my pliers and do them like this. It helps to be able to close these thick links if you have your both pliers kind of vertical. And this one I can't really get vertical, but this one, it just gives you a better grip on it or something. I don't know. Doesn't seem to be working too well at the moment. There we go. Okay. So there's that. We've got our little bicone in there. And I'm going to make a dangle for the end. So I'm just going to take my decorative jump ring, or good lord, my decorative head pin. I think it's bedtime. Rondelle, smushed bicone, and regular bicone. Just like this. And again, I'm just going to create a dangle. So 90 degrees. There we go. And see, that one didn't even fly very far. And roll this loop straight back. And make a little dangle, just like this. Okay, I'm going to open it up. You know that promise that a head pin just felt like it cracked. I bet it's going to break off when I put this back. Yep, sure did. I felt it. So these must be little fragile head pins, so I may not use one with the decorative end because I don't want it to break. So let me grab another head pin that will work better, because that one just cracked. I felt it when I bent it. I felt it crack. I don't know if you guys have ever done that, but you can feel, and then it breaks off when you go to make your loop. So this one, I promise, will probably not do that because I've used these a ton and they're pretty sturdy. So it doesn't have the cute little decorative end, but I'd rather it not have the decorative end and be reliable than worry about it falling off. Alright, so there we have it. I'm going to go ahead and put this on the end of the chain here for a dangle, except for I didn't open it wide enough. There we go. Close it up, and you can hook it on with a jump ring if you want. I'm hooking it right on there. And there we have our little bracelet. So it matches pretty perfectly with the necklace that has the Coriana chain here on it. And I really love it. I think it's pretty. So here's what it looks like when you put it on. Just like this. It's very dainty and kind of delicate and just has this floating look to it. And like I said, I think I got this perfect this time because I can clasp it, but I will have to clasp it all the way up at the top because like I said, my wrist is so small. But anyway, there it is. I like it. I think it turned out really cute and goes great with that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said, the Coriana chain is available on my website, as well as the clamshells, this lobster. I do have tons of bicones and rondelles on there as well. But the rest of these beads came from the bargain bead box, as well as these findings. And if you're interested in subscribing, I will have a link in the description box below. And I think I'm going to go downstairs and like wind down for bed because I'm getting really kind of like sleepy and loopy. I get a little crazy, silly when I get this tired. So I'm going to head downstairs, get ready for bed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.